my question for you today is, what do you know about electroculture? Anything at all? And if you do, are you a big fan or are you a skeptic and you think it's bogus? Well, the idea of electroculture is about 120 years old, and it goes something like this, that you can stimulate plants using electricity, and that speeds up the germination of seed growth, but also helps the plant while it's mature. Now, there's two ways to get that electricity, one of which is to induce a current using power. And the other one, which I find the most far-fetched, is drawing it out of the atmosphere using a copper coil. So I'm very much still on the fence, but I'll tell you, this spring we put 6-inch copper coils into each one of our potted blueberry plants out at the house. Now these plants are about 10 years old. They do okay, they don't do great. But this year was the best year ever for those blueberry plants. Now, could it be a coincidence? Some other environmental factors were just right for those blueberries? Maybe. Or maybe there's something to this electroculture. So my wife has asked me to bake her some larger ones for the garden. So that's what I'm going to do today. Electroculture 102. So I just happened to pick up a couple hundred, well, about 500 of these tobacco stakes this morning. Somebody was giving them away for free, and I don't know what I'm going to use them for just yet, but today I'm going to use it to make my wife's new, larger copper coils. So the first thing we're going to do is sand these down and prepare them, and then we're going to wrap them with copper. Alright, so we got our two sticks all sanded, and once they're cleaned up, it's pretty obvious they're not the same kind of wood. One I think is popple, maybe. They're both hardwoods, but this one's not as hard, and it's sanded a lot easier. And the other one I think is potentially red oak. You can tell by how rough it still is, that one's a lot harder to sand. But we've got our two sticks. And I'm not certain how I'm going to start these with the coils, but for these to work, if they work, I do know the copper's got to extend all the way down into the ground. So I'm going to start at the point of each one of these and figure out how I will get the copper coil to stay at the bottom while I wrap these all the way up. But anyway, that's the next step, is starting the copper coils. To show you what I intend to use for that, here are my copper coils. So what this is actually refrigerator tubing, copper refrigerator tubing that I got off eBay. It's a lot thicker than what I used on the little 6-inch coils. Anyway, I hope this does a better job and turns out pretty well. We will see here in short order, so stay tuned. Time to start wrapping these sticks with the copper. So what I've done to both of these sticks is I've drilled a very tiny hole at an angle through the tip that this 2mm copper tubing will go through. So that's how I'm going to start it and ensure that the copper doesn't slide up the stick when you drive it into the ground. But I got to get this positioned in a better way to get it started. But let me get that going, and then I'll check back in with you. And there we have it. Two completed electroculture 3-foot copper coil sticks to drive into the garden. Now, I'm still on the fence whether these work or not, but this spring, definitely intent on putting them to the test. Kind of do a side-by-side comparison with a bed that doesn't have them with the same plants, and make up our own minds. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you had experience with electroculture before? Has it been positive? Has it been negative? Is this completely bogus? I don't know the answer, but I'm willing to try it out. So on that bombshell, we're going to leave it right there for this episode. Thanks for taking the time to watch all the way to the end. If you haven't hit like and subscribe already, Do me a favor and do so. If you got any questions or comments, any experience with Electroculture, leave them in the comments below. And until the next video, bye-bye.